Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Barbados reaches an agreement with its international creditors to resolve its external commercial debt default. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, October 18th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Well, the deal was struck on Friday between the Mayor Motley administration and external creditors nearly a year and a half after Bridgetown defaulted on its external debt. Barbados will now issue new bonds of at least $500 million that will mature in 2029, according to a statement issued by the Barbados Government Information Service on Friday. Under the arrangement, the foreign commercial creditors will exchange some of the government's US dollar-denominated debt for new bonds to be issued by Barbados. This includes Barbados's 7.8% fixed-rate bonds due 2019, 7.25% notes due 2021, 7% notes due 2022, 6.625% notes due 2035, and floating-rate loan with final maturity in 2019. The agreement was reached after extensive negotiations between government and the External Creditor Committee. A call by the Office of the United Nations High Commission on Human Rights for the Bahamian government to halt the deportation of illegal Haitian nationals in the wake of Hurricane Dorian is not sitting well with officials in the CARICOM nation. The UN agency had urged the government to refrain from deporting individuals who lack documentation without the individual assessment and due process guarantees which they are entitled to under international law. But Attorney General Carl Bethel told the Nassau Guardian newspaper it was unfortunate that international organizations sometimes apply standards to little countries like the Bahamas that they do not enforce in their own countries. He contended that the UN should not prejudge an issue based on what it had heard from some social activist group. Well, that was an apparent reference to criticisms from the human rights group Rights Bahamas, which slammed the Hubert Minnis administration earlier this month for its decision to deport more than 100 undocumented Haitian migrants who were affected by Hurricane Dorian. Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips have agreed to denounce any connection between politics and gang violence. The statement from the private sector organization of Jamaica says the two leaders will also walk together in violence-affected communities. The statement followed a meeting on Thursday between Holness and Phillips, who had also agreed to meet with residents of the parish of St. James, which remains under a state of public emergency. Representatives of the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, the main opposition People's National Party, and civil society groups attended the talks that were aimed at finding solutions to deal with the crime situation. The PNP had been calling for such a meeting, and Phillips said while he was pleased with the development, he hoped a consensus similar to what had been reached in relation to Jamaica's debt could be agreed through that stakeholder meeting. Last year, 1,287 people were murdered in Jamaica, and the figure for this year so far stands at 1,026. Still in Jamaica, gay rights group Montego Bay Pride said its dispute with the St. James Municipal Corporation over the use of the Montego Bay Cultural Center for an event is far from over. Their declaration follows a ruling by the Court of Appeal on Friday morning overturning the injunction that was granted to the group, allowing it to rent the center for a forum on same-sex marriage. We get more in this TVJ News report.
In handing down the ruling, Justice Patrick Brooks, one of the 3 Court of Appeal judges who presided over the matter, said Supreme Court Judge Justice David Batts erred in his finding of facts. Justice Brooks said the decision by Justice Batts must be set aside, further stating that a mandatory injunction could not be granted under the circumstances. The municipal corporation had appealed Monday's ruling in the Supreme Court, citing a technicality. Its argument before the Court of Appeal was that Montego Bay Pride had not submitted an application to the municipal corporation for the use of the cultural center. In an interview with our news center, Mr. Tomlinson explained that he was not aware that he had to seek permission from the municipal corporation.
The website, which was to make an email application to the operations manager, which was done, and that was confirmed. We were never told that we needed to apply for amusement license, and even so, when the mayor made a statement that he would not allow us for the sacredness of the space, it was before the period was open for us to apply. And then when we contacted the cultural center to ask what this meant, they said, based on the mayor's statement, we were not allowed to host events, and they canceled our bookings. So it would have been pointless for us to make an application.
The Trinidad and Tobago Registered Nurses Association is taking legal action against Health Minister Terence Dale Singh. The move is related to a High Court ruling that has resulted in there being no nursing council. The association's attorney has already served a pre-action protocol letter on the minister. We get the details in this TV6 News report.
According to President of the TNT Registered Nurses Association, Edie Stewart, the nursing fraternity is in chaos, and he warns that the public may be at risk. On the morning edition, Mr. Stewart said it's all due to the actions of the health minister, who has appointed ousted council president David Murphy to the board of the nursing council. The last board filed a no-confidence motion against Murphy, who then filed a lawsuit against the board. Mr. Stewart says that the minister's action is a disrespect to nurses.
We don't want to ask him who he consulted. He certainly didn't consult the association. He didn't consult TTAM, TTRNA, PNAT, Psychiatric Nursing Association. I would want him to say if he consulted the chief nursing officer, who is supposed to be advising him on who should be on that council.
Vice President of the association said the council is unable to perform its duties in registering nurses and administering nursing examinations until the issues with the elected members are resolved.
What concerns us is that for the very first time, the minister's appointees, the minister would have control of the nursing council through his appointees, and that was not the original intention. Yes, they would represent the interests of the minister, but really and truly, the council is an autonomous body that should be run by the nursing community.
However, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Midwives, Marcia Rollock, said that the situation is unfortunate and believes the minister is being misguided and misinformed.
Because the nursing council we have no duly constituted council at present. It means that the council, one of the functions of the council is as a watchdog for the public. So the council would be the one that would register persons, make sure persons have all the necessary documentation, etc., to practice in Trinidad and Tobago. So it means, therefore, that the public is now at risk, because there is no functioning body that can say, yes, register, yes, we can register this person, yes, the credentials are up to mark. The council is also the one that does exams, so it means that we have had exams and we have had persons who were successful in exams but cannot be registered.
Still to come, concern that the citrus industry in Belize is on the brink of collapse. Stay with us.
As a business owner, you have to make sure your technology is available and operational at all times. But what happens when your network crashes, your email goes down, or your user systems get a virus? You may try to fix the issue yourself, but you can end up making the problem a lot worse. At Digital Networking Solutions, we're more than just people who try to fix your computers. We monitor, maintain, and support your IT systems so that you can focus on growing your business to its fullest potential. When you sign up for one of our IT support plans, we get familiar with your IT environment beforehand, so we can manage it proactively as if it were our own. Your business deserves the best IT services available to ensure it functions to its maximum efficiency. So give us a try today. Email or call us, and we will give you a free network assessment to determine whether now is the time for your small business to adopt Digital Networking Solutions for a smoother, more reliable network experience.
In Tobago, the name Martha Archer is almost synonymous with the word netball. The Bonaccord native has been involved in the sport for decades, starting as a player at age 9 before branching off into administration. Mrs. Archer served as the second vice president of the Americas Federation of Netball Associations regional body for 24 years. For her devotion and commitment to advancing the sport in Trinidad and Tobago,
Hi, I'm Brittany Dixon, and you're watching Finding Fit, the show where I pair up one client with two trainers. Trainer number one.
Oh my gosh.
It's about fitness, comedy.
I can do this all day,
Drama.
In future, we cannot be late.
Inspirational stories, and so much more. You are gonna love it. You can catch Finding Fit prime time this fall on CaribVision.
We continue with concerns in Belize that the once thriving citrus industry is on the brink of collapse. According to reports, the Citrus Growers Association is no longer able to provide basic services to its members. We get the details in this report from Channel 5 Belize.
Once a thriving industry that towered above all else as Belize's second largest revenue generator, the citrus industry, as it stands, is but a shell of its former self. Down 5.5 million boxes from a record high of 7.8, production continues to nosedive, and its free fall is the result of poor management from grove to factory.
Probably about 10, 14 years ago, the industry was at its peak. I think we were producing around 7.8 million boxes of citrus fruit. And that production has now dwindled in 2019, the 2018-19 financial year. We are down now to 2.3 million boxes of citrus fruit.
At the heart of its decline is the Citrus Growers Association, a representative body with a membership of 269 small farmers. The CGA, which provides essential technical services, is in dire straits, and while the citrus greening disease is being blamed for its financial woes, the problem goes well beyond what is taking place in the orchards.
To me, there are three core issues. One, the need for reality check. Where is the CGA? As you say, in line with its financial status, our creditors, our bankers. Where are the accounts of the CGA? That has not come to the table, I would say, since 2014. So we don't know. The core business of the CGA as a grower service organization is failing its membership.
And that great pain which afflicts the industry is a sharp decline in production, ultimately translating to fewer jobs and significant loss of revenue at the processing plant. Nikita Usher is the Chief Administration Manager at Citrus Products of Belize Limited.
8 million bucks of fruit. The years gone by, we used to run 3 shifts. So it meant that we were running an employment base of close to 1,500 people. Here at 2.5 million bucks of fruit. We're simply only running the factory at 2 shifts. And we don't run on weekends.
While the management of CPBL has taken the decision to extend the production period, there are simply not enough oranges being planted in the citrus belt. To make matters worse, the CGA, which is tasked with providing extension services to farmers, is falling woefully short of its mandate, and CPBL has had to take up the slack.
An Assistant Secretary General of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States, the ACP, says the bloc has not done enough to maximize the economic potential of cultural industries. Leonard Emile Ognimba, ACP Assistant Secretary General, Department of Political Affairs and Human Development, made the point in an interview with the CMC's Kenton Chance in Niger on Friday. Technical officials have held a 2-day preparatory meeting in the West African nation ahead of this weekend's 5th meeting of ACP Ministers of Culture. Ognimba told CMC there should be culture is a matter of particular interest to the ACP, whose vision is poverty reduction. He spoke in French and his comments were voiced over by an ACP translator here.
Well, we do what we do, but we don't do enough. I think that intra-ACP cooperation needs to become more involved from the cultural standpoint. We have a number of advantages here. We are developing countries, but in particular, we have a common history. When you look at the Caribbean in particular, Caribbean music has had a lot of influence on African music. Caribbean intellectuals are well known throughout Africa and even outside of Africa. So it means that this cultural mix should help us to consolidate intra-ACP relations so that, I'm not going to speak about an integration, but there should be a better bringing together, which is more tangible and more sustained at the level of the three regions, the Pacific, Caribbean, and Africa.
The meeting is being held under the theme Strengthening and Diversifying Partnerships for ACP Cultures. The meeting falls within the special context of the negotiations underway between the ACP Group and the European Union for a conclusion of a new post-2020 partnership agreement. Jamaicans remember noted reggae star Peter Tosh on what would have been his 75th birthday, and Kanye West takes his Sunday service concert to Jamaica. Marika Williams has those stories and more in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
This Saturday, Jamaicans will celebrate what would have been the 75th birthday of noted reggae star Peter Tosh. Among activities planned are the Peter Tosh Music Festival at the Pulse Center in New Kingston on Saturday. But first, on Friday evening, the University of the West Indies Mona campus will hold a Peter Tosh Symposium under the theme Peter Tosh, the Revolutionary Mystic Man. Kanye West will be holding Sunday service in Jamaica on Friday. Sunday service is a series of gospel concerts that West has been holding across America. And Jamaica's Minister of Culture, Olivia Grange, says this is the first time he is taking the performance outside of the U.S. The concert will be held at Emancipation Park in the capital, Kingston, from 7 p.m. And Grenada is preparing to hold the first ever gospel segment of the Grenada Music Festival later this month. Organizers say the Break Every Chain concert on October 26th is for everyone.
Not just for the Christian community, but for the entire community of Grenada. And that is what is about. And we hope that everyone would see that way. I hope all the persons who have listened to me on the radio, have heard me spoken about it, the programs I'm doing. I hope they would come too. And for us to be at one place. Just imagine a little bit of heaven. Baptist, Pentecostal, Berean, Seventh Adventist, Anglican, who go to church, who don't go to church. Everybody are the same way.
Mary-Claire Williams, Newsline Entertainment.
Ahead in sports, USA Cricket hails Hayden Walsh Jr.'s selection to the West Indies limited overs side. We'll be right back with the details.
Liat's birthday celebration is on with Fair 63. 9 a.m. October 16th to 11:59 p.m. October 18th. 63 hours to book your flight to any Liat destination with our special Fair 63. Terms and conditions apply. Liat, we celebrate 63.
Happy birthday to
sports now. USA Cricket has hailed Hayden Walsh Jr.'s selection to the West Indies limited overs side, branding the leg spinner an all-round talent and a world-class fielder who they expect to excel at the highest level. Ian Higgins, chief executive of USA Cricket, said, quote, Hayden has been nothing short of outstanding on and off the field for USA since his first selection in 2018. His all-round talent with bat and ball, along with his world-class fielding, were crucial factors in the USA team gaining ODI status for the first time earlier this year, end quote. The 27-year-old Walsh was this week named in the Windies One-Day International and 2020 International squads for the upcoming series against Afghanistan in India from November 4th to 17th. Walsh, who was born in the U.S. Virgin Islands and grew up in Antigua, has already represented ICC Associates United States in 1 ODI and 8 T20 internationals earlier this year. Still in cricket, Bermuda's national coach Herbie Bascom is confident that captain Dion Stovall and teammate Oronde Bascom, who were injured during the 24-run defeat against Hong Kong, will be fit for Bermuda's ICC T20 World Cup qualifier opener against Papua New Guinea on Saturday. Tuesday's warm-up game was stopped briefly after Stovall collided with Kamau Leverock on the boundary and was helped off the field clutching his ribs. Stovall missed the bulk of the qualifying tournament in Bermuda in August because of concussion protocol after being struck on the head on the second day of the Cup match, which is Bermuda's premier domestic fixture. Saturday's qualifier will determine the lineup for next year's 16-team ICC T20 World Cup to be staged in Australia. West Indies are the defending champions. Guyana and Denmark are partnering to develop the sport of football. Newsroom's Akeem Green tells us more.
With an illustrious goal at qualifying for the 2026 World Cup, which will be held in Canada, Mexico, and the United States of America, the GFF have inked a partnership with Denmark, which should see the sport gain significantly in key areas. This disclosure was made by GFF President Wayne Ford at a partnership signing on Wednesday.
By the simple act of affixing our mark to a sheet of paper, today we have sowed the seeds of friendship that in time can produce the harvest of new and exciting opportunities for the long-term development of Guyana's football. Today we are able to establish the terms of our collaborative efforts in the coming years for the implementation of some of the key strategic objectives and programs. The objectives of our collaborations are in the area of coaching education, infrastructure development, competition management and professional football league development, women's football strategic development, grassroots football strategic development, youth football development, referees development, governance and administration.
Denmark have pledged to start these projects as soon as 2020, and for them, the partnership gives them opportunities to train in different conditions and learn more about the academy structure in Guyana.
I also want to bring knowledge back to Denmark because, as we just spoke about, that was why it took so long time, not because of your president, because of me, because I had a lot of questions regarding especially the training academy. We don't have an academy or training site in Denmark yet, so I've come to learn a little bit about perhaps we could get some knowledge about doing that. You have a big country, not so much infrastructure. It's quite the same somewhere in Denmark, so it could be very good for me to learn something about how do you handle that. But first of all, it's about getting together, building bridges, having discussions, and we quite soon found some common goals that we will try to achieve.
Veteran netball coach Connie Francis is glad to be back as Jamaica's head coach despite being at odds with the association. TVJ's Trishana McGowan reports.
Jamaica's most successful coaches at the international level. So it was no surprise when Netball Jamaica named her as the new head coach earlier this week, replacing Marvet Anderson, whose contract was not renewed. However, she could have held a grudge after being overlooked in 2017 when she was asked to compete for the post with Englishwoman Jermaine Allison McCracken, a situation which left her embarrassed.
I felt really bad because, I know my worth, and I thought that Netball Jamaica has done me this service in such a way. I would have even feel better if they say Saturday Henry has done extremely well, and you will go alongside her to try out. I feel better to go up there in minutes, honest, because I know their worth. Here you can, a stranger who has no history when it comes to netball at an international level. I really feel bad about it, so I feel that at the time it was best to just walk away and leave it.
But the experienced coach has gotten over that snub and is looking forward to rebuilding the team after a disappointing World Cup campaign earlier this year.
I'm a thinker of the game, and my players believe. That's the thing, that you have to be able to get the players on your side. And whatever you give them to do, they see it unravel in front of them. And that's the belief. I think that's the difference with me and probably some coaches. I will see exactly, I'll come up with tactical plays in order to counteract our opposition. And for most of the time, I can tell that it has worked, and I'm very happy about that.
After the team's 5th place finish at the World's Tournament in July, assistant coach Winston Nevers revealed to the media that there was a lack of chemistry among some squad members.
And before we go, scores of Barbadians got the opportunity to celebrate with the Barbados Tridents following their come-from-behind victory to capture the prestigious CPL title. The two-time champions held a motorcade in Bridgetown on Friday when residents got a close-up look at the coveted trophy and the winning team led by Jason Holder. The Tridents inflicted a 27-run defeat on the Ghana Amazon Warriors in the final last Saturday, and their resurgence to the top came after winning just 2 of their first 6 matches in the preliminary rounds. The Tridents owners early in the week paid a courtesy call on Prime Minister Mia Mottley and Sports Minister John King, who gave government's commitment to raising the profile of cricket in Barbados. The motorcade culminated with music and dance in Warren's St. Michael. And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
When we look at the characteristics of stones that are responsible for death in our region, we experience more fatalities related to storm surge and to major rain and flooding.
These are nobody's life, and I don't want to see next hurricane like this.
My neighbor roof gone. Boy, watch out. All you don't see what we see.
And that's all the time we have for Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanaNews.com. For more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night and a safe and blessed weekend.